Let me ask you a question, and I want you to really think about it. Have you ever been stuck? And when I say stuck, like you're outside of your own body, watching yourself doing the things. Yeah, I know what I need to be doing. Why can't I just do it? Right? I got all these to-do lists, and I'm just not doing any of it. Let me say something to that. You're not lazy. You're not unmotivated, and you're not broken. You're just stuck. Right? You're just stuck. And when you're stuck, everything is a lot more difficult than it needs to be. It's like climbing a mountain with your shoes tied together, right? Every step is cumbersome and awkward, and sometimes you trip and you fall, and it's messy, and it's ugly, and it's painful, and I've been there before. I know that place. I've been in that place many times. And I've learned how to get out of that place. The reason I'm standing here today is not because I've figured it all out. It's because I've figured out what to do when I don't have it figured out. I've figured out how to keep moving when you just don't want to keep moving, right? When you're just stuck and I don't know what to do. Well, now I'm going to give you some ideas on how you can help yourself get that way, right? I'm neurodivergent. That's a fancy new word for a diagnosis I've had since 1992. Back then it was called ADD. Now there's an H associated with it, so now it's called ADHD. I just like to call it life with a high-speed brain, low-speed brakes, and no filter. That's right. But let me take you back to 1992, third grade. I had a teacher, bless her heart, that didn't know how to handle a child like me. Or maybe a better way to say it, she didn't really want to handle a child like me, right? She's 55 to 60, not quite retirement age, but darn near close. Close enough that I don't want to deal with your crap, little boy. Yeah, that kind of teacher, you know. We've all had an experience or two with that kind of lady. Well, I have just as much energy, if not less, now than I did when I was an 8-year-old child. I've always liked people. I've always had a curiosity question in my mind of why does that work? Why do we do these things? How can we make that better? All of those things. So what's the result of that at 8 years old? You get a fidgety little boy that's a distraction in your class, right? That was me. That was me, and heaven forbid me, I don't remember my third grade teacher's name, but we'll call her Miss Smith. Miss Smith's class, right? Why not? That narrows it down. Mrs. Smith. She had this little setup where she had all the rows in the classroom looking at her back to the wall. She's looking at the students, except for me. She put my desk next to hers, facing the wall. Not the classroom, not her, but the wall, with all the students behind me looking at me. You know, it's really hard at 8 years old to feel 20 eyeballs looking at your back and not feel different. It's also really hard for that different feeling to not feel defective. It's even more hard for an 8-year-old to not let that defective, different feeling start to become the way you believe, right? You start to believe your attention deficit disorder. You start to think, well, maybe I do have a defective something. Maybe I'm deficient in something. It's really hard to stop that belief from following you everywhere. And it did. It's followed me everywhere. It followed me through school, through jobs, through relationships. You know, I've always looked for that normal switch, or that person, that coach, that mentor, that teacher that could teach you how to be normal. You know, the person or the switch that teaches you how to be more organized, how to be more consistent, how to show up on time, how to not lose your keys, right? That normal switch. Guess what? There is no switch. There is no normal. I love to say this now. Everybody's normal until you get to know each other, right? Everybody's normal until you get to know them. But that's reality. There is no such thing as a normal switch. There can be methods. There can be ways of doing things to get out, or to find your normal, to get out of your stuff, to find your normal. So over time, I started to pay attention to what worked, right? We all have a microscope on what doesn't work. We all have a microscope on our flaws. But I started to try to get my head out of that microscope and start looking from a high level. Okay, when I was stuck, what did I do to help myself? When I got unstuck, what were some of the mindset patterns that I had? What were some of the thought processes? What were some of the things that I said and did to myself that helped me get unstuck? What actually worked? That's the question. What actually worked? I realized over the last several months, years, I've been doing this my whole life. I mean, I'm 41 now. Things change as you age. You refine your way of doing things. But I have been getting myself unstuck my whole life. And I've realized in the last several months that other people have been coming to me my whole life to help them get unstuck too. And I had never really articulated it up until recently. But I wrote it down and I gave it a name and I call it the Unstuck Method. That's what we're here for. It's a simple process built on an acronym I call ACT. Awareness, clarity, and transformation. Awareness is about recognizing what's actually going on in your head, not just about what's going on around you, right? Clarity is about finding that next small step, because it doesn't matter how big your goals are. If you're frozen in place, you're not doing it, right? You're not moving anywhere if you're stuck. And transformation is building those small little steps that actually help you move even when you don't want to. Some might use the word discipline in that category. And as an ADD child who didn't quite know what ADD meant and what discipline meant, I don't like to use the word discipline. Discipline can sometimes be associated with lazy, right? You don't have discipline because you're lazy. And I've never used those two words. I just don't like them. This isn't some kind of life hack. This is real talk. It's how you talk to yourself. It's how you believe in yourself. It's what you believe about yourself, and it's what you do with those beliefs. Let's be honest. Mental health is real. This is 2025, not 1950. We can talk about it. It's okay. You have feelings. It's okay. You don't have to sweep them under the rug. If you're struggling, you're not alone. If you're overwhelmed, you're not broken. If you feel stuck, you're not lazy. You just need some tools in your corner. You need some people in your corner. And you need some self-belief and some self-habits to help you go right there. Now, I've been in that space before where anxiety takes the wheel and you have no idea where you're going. I've been in that space before where you're just depressed and everything's gray and everything's slower and everything's just not as fun, right? And I've been in that place where ADD pulls your brain 1,000 different ways and tells you you're failing at all of them. But I've learned that I'm not powerless. I've learned that I have the ability to keep going through all of that. And I've learned that I don't need to go looking out there for it. It's right here. You're not powerless either. Everything you need is already inside of you. You just have to find it. You got to believe it. And you need to learn how to use it, right? You need to learn how to use it. You don't need to become someone else to be successful. Matter of fact, you probably need to become more of who you already are to be successful. I created this Unstuck Method because I needed it. I didn't realize what I was doing over the last 40 years, but I've created this because I need it. And now I share it with other people because I truly believe that other people need it too. Whether I'm coaching someone one-on-one, speaking like I am right now, or leading conferences, trainings, whatever that may be, my goal is very simple. Help people get out of their own way to finally take action on the life they are meant to live. Hopefully this sounds like resilience. Hopefully this is a thought process of, I am good enough. I can do this. I can get through this, right? Now, I'm not perfect. Could ask my kids that. They might think I am. But I'm not a guru either. I'm just a real human being who's been stuck, who's learned how to get out of my own way, and want to help other people do the same. I help you move forward one step at a time. And I want to remind everyone this, right here. Leave with this. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're supposed to be in motion.